Ah, there we go, better if I turn the intercom on. So this is a piece that I made for the Asylum some years back, and it is a flight mask for the Imperial Etheric Airways. Now this is my friend's steampunk troupe, and you can tell them by their Union Jack colour scheme. You may have seen us marching in the Queen's Parade on the Sunday. Which was partially inspired by the TV series Teen Wolf, obviously a remake of the 80s film, and in that they had these really cool bad guys that had these very steampunk masks. Now they're quite similar to the bad guy in Hellboy as well, but I was quite inspired by that look, the sort of blank face with the sort of goggle-like eyes. So I really liked that look, and I wanted to do a mask like it, but not exactly the same. So that was a starting point for this piece. And I actually did a quick sketch in clay just so I had an idea of what to aim for. As with several of my other projects, I decided to start with EVA foam to get the basic shape of the mask. So what I did was to heat it up in the oven and then to wrap it around a mannequin head to get the basic shape. I then started sketching in the shape of the mask that I wanted. Once I had the shape that I wanted in foam, I then added some fiberglass to the outside to create a hard shell. I then further filled in the details with some car body filler, or Bondo as it's otherwise known, and then started sanding it down to a smooth finish. The brass rings I have here for eyepieces are called brass bushes, and they're really useful. I use them frequently for making goggles as well. So once I had it relatively smooth, I gave it a coat of undercoat, and that just lets you see where all the imperfections are. Once I'd done that, I then came back in with some more Bondo and started filling in the tiny little gaps to further smooth things out. So the main look to this piece was going to be the colour scheme, and I wanted to have a Union Jack colour scheme so that it would tie in with everyone else's costumes. So I had to do several passes of spray paint on this with some masking tape to create the Union Jack effect. So once I had the pieces of the mask assembled, I then needed to create something to hold them all together, so I sewed together some pieces of leather to create the rest of the mask. We also designed a logo for the Imperial Etheric Airways, so I created some decals which I could add to the mask. Now, one major element to this was ventilation, and I knew that I would be wearing this for a good portion of the Saturday at the Asylum and possibly for several other days as well. So the prospect of having it on for hours at a time without any air flowing through it was not really a good one. So I decided to look into adding some fans to try and blow some air into the mask. These are made of several elements. Firstly, I took the motors out of some USB fans that I got off eBay, and also took the blades from some computer fans. That was all then combined with some guttering pipe and some wood to create a sort of a ventilation unit.
So you joined me conducting a ventilator test here. So what I've got is a ventilator unit here connected up to the mask. And as you can see, I have two fans here which are actually blowing. So what they're doing is they're sucking air out of the mask. So what that basically means is that when I breathe, my breath is being sucked out and vented into the atmosphere. Now what I've got here is an air intake here, and air is sucked in there. So the practical upshot of that is quite cool actually. When I tested these, I found it very difficult to force air into the intakes and get it up the pipe. So I was getting virtually no airflow whatsoever. And then I suddenly thought, well, what if I reverse the airflow? And suddenly the airflow is really strong, and I can really feel air moving inside the mask. So that's great. So it does two things. One, it's allowing air to circulate and allowing me to breathe. The other thing is, because it's venting my air out of the mask, it's stopping the goggles from fogging up. So that sort of solved two problems with one solution really. So that's really cool. So yeah, as you can see, there's my fans blown away, and I've got my electronics on the back there. And I've got a big kill switch on the back there as well as somewhere I've got some individual, there we go, some individual switches there which will turn off each fan independently if I need to. I've done some tests with this, and I've found that the batteries will actually last a really long time. So I've been wearing this now for about 20 minutes, and I've got no fogging up issues, and I can breathe pretty well. So that bodes well for the Asylum. Obviously I'll be wearing it for a little bit longer than 20 minutes. Nevertheless, we'll see how we get on. So looking good so far. The next step is to mount this on my back so I don't have to carry it around. So that's just a matter of some padding and a few leather straps. But a pretty good field test so far.
There's a quick look at my flight mask. Now this is a piece that I've actually ended up wearing several times at the asylum. As I mentioned, we march in the Queen's Parade every Sunday, so I've actually worn this much more than most of my other costumes. And one thing I had intended to do for some years is to actually redesign the backpack with the ventilator in it. It works very well, the airflow is really good through the mask, but it's actually quite uncomfortable to wear, and there's not a lot of give in the hose pipes, things like that. So it's been due a redesign for a while, and this is what I've come up with so far. It's not completely finished yet, I haven't finished the electronics, but as you can see I've sort of expanded this into almost sort of a rocket pack, which includes the ventilation units as well. And the advantage of this is that the connectors for the ventilators are much closer to my head, so that allows a much freer range of movement with the hoses attached. So hopefully I'll have that finished by the time of the next asylum, but for the time being that's it for this video. So thanks very much for watching, and I hope that was interesting.